The true reason behind Japan's surrender. According to the official U.S. narrative, Japan's surrender was decisively triggered by the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. However, a closer look at historical records reveals that other factors played a critical role in Japan's decision to surrender. The most significant was the Soviet Union's entry into the war on August 8. At the time, the Japanese government was attempting to negotiate peace with the Allied powers through Soviet mediation. But the sudden Soviet declaration of war eliminated that possibility entirely, placing Japan in a dire strategic position. In fact, discussions about ending the war had already begun within the Japanese government before the bombing of Nagasaki. On the morning of August 9, the Supreme War Council convened to debate the terms of surrender. The bombing of Nagasaki occurred during this very meeting, adding pressure to Japan's decision, but it was not the primary cause. While the atomic bomb was certainly shocking to Japan's leadership, they had already endured devastating conventional air raids, including the massive firebombing of Tokyo in March 1945, which claimed around 100,000 lives in a single night. From a purely destructive standpoint, some argue that the difference between atomic bombs and conventional bombings was not decisive for Japan's leaders. Post-war investigations by the U.S. military also concluded that Japan's defeat had already become inevitable before the atomic bombings. Reports submitted to President Truman indicated that Japan would likely surrender by November or December, even without the use of atomic bombs. This casts doubt on the official claim that the bombs were dropped solely to end the war quickly. If that had truly been the goal, why were two different types of bombs used, and why were they dropped on cities densely populated with civilians? On August 14, Emperor Hirohito made the decision to accept the Potsdam Declaration. At that very moment, plans were already underway to drop a third atomic bomb on Tokyo. Documents show that President Truman told the British ambassador that day, "There is no alternative but to drop the third bomb on Tokyo." However, just hours after that meeting, Japan's acceptance of the Potsdam Declaration was confirmed, and further bombings were halted. In other words, the atomic bombings stopped at 2. Not because of humanitarian restraint, but simply because Japan surrendered earlier than expected. Had Japan delayed its surrender, additional bombs, including one on Tokyo, would likely have been dropped, resulting in even greater loss of life.